Good morning, dear students. Hope you are all good at home. Today, in our geography period, we'll discuss global warming and the greenhouse effect. And the subtopics under this chapter are greenhouse effect, assessing the impact of global warming, listing the reasons for the depletion of the ozone layer. So, students, let's start with greenhouse effect. The greenhouse is a glass house designed to trap the heat of the sun. It is used for the production of fruits, vegetables, and flowers in the temperate countries. It is heated naturally by the incoming rays of the sun and artificially by using the hot air and water. The system of trapping heat in an enclosed area is known as greenhouse effect. The Earth's atmosphere is an enormous greenhouse. The gases present in the atmosphere does not allow the heat of the sun to escape. These gases are carbon dioxide, water vapor, methane, nitrous oxide, and chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs. These gases are called the greenhouse gases. They allow the outgoing heat of the sun's rays and release the heat back into the Earth's atmosphere. These gases keep the Earth warm and habitable. The temperature on Earth increases with the increase in the content of the greenhouse gases. Causes of greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect is a natural process. It is necessary for the survival of living things as it keeps the earth warm. However, human activities have altered the amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. The amount of greenhouse gases have increased dramatically over the 1,000 years. Some of the reasons are burning of fossil fuels. The fossil fuels, coal, petroleum, have existed in the Earth's crust for millions of years. These are carbon based compounds. These fuels are used to power vehicles and houses. The use of the fossil fuels have resulted in the release of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. This carbon dioxide heats up heats up the Earth's surface and the oceans. Every year, human activities are causing the release of about 7 billion tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. The second reason is deforestation. Trees maintain a balance of gases in the atmosphere. They absorb carbon dioxide and water and release oxygen. However, the felling of trees or deforestation due to rapid developmental activities have decreased the global vegetation cover. Because of deforestation, less trees are available to take up the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. When the fallen trees and plants slowly decompose, they release stored carbon dioxide into the atmosphere too. Population explosion. Over the years, as we all know, there has been a marked increase in the population. With the increase in population, the demand for house, transport, and fuel have increased. These demands increase the consumption of fossil fuels and fossil fuels that adds to the greenhouse effect. Farming. Farming is the world's most ancient and most practiced occupation. Farming provides food for the ever growing world population. The fertilizers used in the farms contain nitrous oxide, a greenhouse gas. Cows are the most commonly farmed animals. However, cows are responsible for releasing methane gas, a greenhouse gas, into the atmosphere. Now, global warming. What do we mean by global warming? The increase in the greenhouse gases through the burning of fossil fuels has disturbed the ecological balance of the earth. Since the Industrial Revolution, the temperature of the earth has been increasing. The gradual increase in the earth's average temperature is referred to as global warming. The primary cause of global warming is the increase in the greenhouse gases. Most of the global warming during the second half of this 20th century is human induced. Now, what are the various activities that are responsible for global warming? 1. The burning of fossil fuels for electricity generation and transportation. 2. Emission of smoke and harmful gases from factories. 3. Pollution caused in the upper atmosphere due to flying of aeroplanes. 4. Deforestation of forests for agricultural and industrial purposes and forest fires. So, what are the impacts of global warming? Global warming is a slow and gradual process. It has increased the temperature of the earth by few degrees over the past 2 centuries. The impacts of global warming are heat waves, heat waves. The greenhouse, the occurrence of heat waves has increased all over the world. Drought conditions and wildfires are associated with increased heat waves. The disastrous heat waves are the cause for the loss of lives throughout the world. Torrential rains and flooding. The intensity of precipitation events has increased over the last few decades. These are frequent There are frequent floods and landslides. Rise in the sea level. The rising sea level is one of the undeniable impacts of global warming. The sea levels around the world may around the world rose by an average of 10 to 20 centimeters during the 20th century. This would further accelerate because of the melting of ice sheets on Greenland and Antarctica. The continued rising of sea will submerge the densely populated coastal regions of the world. Shrinking glaciers. Mountain glaciers are a source of fresh water in the world. These glaciers are retreating because of the increase in temperature. The shrinking of these glaciers will create a shortage of fresh water in Asia. The glaciers of the Himalayas are retreating at a record pace. Loss of biodiversity. The plants and animal species grow in a habitat. These habitats have different temperatures as environmental conditions. For example, the increase in the sea surface temperature has resulted in coral bleaching. The melting ice in the Arctic and is endangering the survival of polar bears. Mitigating global warming. Global warming may be brought under control in the following by the following measures: replacing coal and petroleum with the alternative source of energy, using energy efficient appliances and reducing carbon footprint, use of recyclable and organic material in the construction of buildings, controlling deforestation of rainforest all over the world, and depletion of ozone layer. The ozone layer is present in the upper atmosphere of the earth, the stratosphere. It is located at an altitude of 20 to 40 kilometers. The thickness of the layer varies with change in altitude and seasons. The highest concentration of the ozone layer is found near the equator. It gradually decreases towards the poles. This layer absorbs solar radiation and blocks harmful ultraviolet rays from reaching the Earth's surface. These rays are capable of causing skin cancer, cataract, damage to the cataract, damage to the immune system, and deformities at the birth. These the animals and plants may be affected by these rays. Ozone depletion is the thinning of the ozone layer in the Earth's upper atmosphere. The thinning is the result of the release of chemical compounds containing chlorine and bromine. Then, what are the causes of depletion in the ozone layer? The ozone layer is broken down by groups of compounds, chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs. These are used in refrigerators, aerosols, firefighting equipment, and solvents. They have the capability to remain for 20 to 120 years in the atmosphere. The chlorofluorocarbons are not washed down to the Earth's surface by rain. These carbon compounds float up into the atmosphere. After reaching the stratosphere, chlorine is released from the compound by the ultraviolet rays of the sun. Chlorine atoms form chlorine monoxide with oxygen atoms and destroy the ozone molecules. Chlorine ultimately leads to the depletion of ozone in the upper atmosphere. The CFCs account for about 20% of the total ozone depletion. So, children, these are some of the reasons why we have the ozone layer being depleted. And mostly it is more common in the Antarctica region. The depletion of the ozone layer is most pronounced over the Antarctica. During the spring, ozone is rapidly destroyed by chemical reactions. The ozone hole is a seasonal event appears with the depletion of the ozone. So thank you, children.